has been removed from the administrative block of the Obiakpo Local Government Council. He was a former chairman of the council. The building has now been renamed in honor of the late Senator Dr. Obiwale, a prominent Equerry leader, politician, and renowned minority rights advocate. The renaming followed a directive by the new chairman of the council, Chijioke Ihinwo, after he successfully took over the council secretariat on October 7, when crisis rocked some council secretariats in River State. Mr. Ige, is this political or progressive?
Clearly political. I'm sure you don't need to go to church or go to see.
You didn't even want to be diplomatic with it.
No,
you didn't even want to break it down.
It's clearly political, and of course, it's not happening for the first time.
Okay.
In our history, in Nigeria's political history, where certain structures are named after certain people, and maybe for one thing or the other, another administration comes in, and the administration thinks they need to change the name. So this is clearly political. You understand it, and you understand the feeling of why that is happening, particularly in Obiakpo local government.
Yeah.
The chairman is from Obiakpo local government. The former governor, who is now the FCT minister, is from that same local government. And the man they just named the building after is also from Obiakpo. So let me say, this is an Obiakpo, local government thing. And I'm sure you won't find too many people complaining about the change of name. Obiwale is a well-respected name, in Obiakpo particularly, and not just in Obiakpo, in Nigeria, as a whole. At his time, Obiwale was one of the most prominent activists in the Nigerian Senate. So you understand why there has not been too much a backlash of complaints from the people of Obiakpo. But see, look, you've just removed the name of the former governor and replaced him with another very, very prominent equation. So you won't see much of backlash, from the people of Obiakpo local government.
Yeah, so this might be the defense of whoever wants to argue that it's political, that the profile of the person whose name was replaced is more befitting, if you may. So when people hold that position that no, it's not really about politics, but we think that Obiwale holds a better place in having his name on this building than the former governor, I mean, that could be a valid argument.
It could be a valid argument. Remember, too, that that building, was built by the immediate past chairman of that local government, George Ariolu, and named it after Nyesom Wike, who was the governor as at then. And remember, too, George Ariolu was at the time a special advisor to Wike until he became the local government chairman. So he too could have named the building after Wike, maybe as a reward, to say, look, thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to be local government chairman. We just have this building and want to name it after you. So you see now that it's more of political. These are political interests. And that's why I said, look, the people of Obiakpo won't complain too much. You've just replaced Nyesom Wike with another very, very prominent, equation. I'm sure that's why you are not seeing much of backlash, from the people. That's why the people are not complaining. Nyesom Wike is from Obiakpo, Obiwale is from Obiakpo. These are two prominent equations. So you never can tell. Probably in years to come, another administration can arrive and return it back to Nyesom Wike, or probably look for another, prominent equation to name the building after. But to me, I think it's politics. It's all politics.
Now, generally, how important is the naming of monuments after influential figures? The Second Niger Bridge is named after former President Buhari. There are institutions scattered across Nigeria, airports, universities that have a name on them. In the grand scheme of things, how important are these names?
Very, very important. That's one of the best ways to keep history. It's one of the best ways to reward excellence, to reward patriotism, to reward hard work, to reward industry, to reward contribution to progressive ideas, to reward those who have performed heroic acts. You understand? It's a way of keeping history. It's a way of preserving history, so to say, so that generations to come will ask questions. You understand? Why did we do this? Or why was this done? And of course, there are several national, state and local government structures and monuments that are named after, prominent, Nigerians. You have the Louis Edet House, in Abuja, named after former Inspector General of Police. You have the Kamsalem House. That was the police headquarters, at Obalende then when the Lagos had to be the federal capital. So you have several structures. We have the Murtala Mohammed Airport, International Airport in Lagos, Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. Several of such national structures. Remember, we also have the faces of prominent Nigerians in our Naira notes. These are ways of preserving history so that upcoming generations can know that, look, if I aspire or I make a huge difference in the society, I could have a monument, named after me. So it's a way, and it's not peculiar to Nigeria, so that people begin to understand. The airport in Paris is named after Charles de Gaulle. I'm sure you know he's a former French president. We have the John F. Kennedy Airport, in the United States. So it's not something. Or Tam International Airport in Johannesburg. So we have several of such structures named after prominent citizens scattered across the world.
I really want to move on from this, but it seems it's a gift that keeps on giving, because I'm getting ideas. How can you tell that a person is befitting of such an honor? Because I remember people argued about Buhari's name being on the second Niger bridge. They said, was he deserving of such? So if a name is placed on a monument, how can people tell, no, this is deserving?
But you know that names, certain names will be controversial.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know why Buhari is actually controversial, especially in that part of Nigeria. And there's actually nothing wrong in naming the bridge, after Muhammadu Buhari. Remember, he actually started and completed that structure before he left office. So you could say, let's name the monument after him. We've also had situations where
the history about procurement and everything around the second Niger bridge predates.
When you put when you have something on paper and somebody puts it into reality, who has actually done the work?
Okay, it's like what the Abia State government did with the power thing.
It was even extended far beyond the scope of what was originally, on the design. Yeah. We even had a time when I think it was the Muhammadu Buhari administration that renamed University of Lagos after MK Abiola. Remember, it was vehemently rejected. And
it was.
A lot of people went to Unilag, including old students of the school, said, look, Unilag was too iconic to be named after.
Even though Abiola was from that region.
Oh, absolutely. Abiola was not only from that region, contributed immensely to the growth of Lagos. Remember, all MK Abiola's investments were in Lagos. Concord newspaper was in Lagos. Abiola bookshops, was in Lagos. Had his head office in Lagos. Stayed in Lagos. Grew up in Lagos. So to say. So he was a Lagosian by every bit of what you want to say. Although it's from Ogun State, but then he was a Lagosian. But it was vehemently rejected. We even have streets that have been named after people, and because people are used to the old name, it's difficult. Look at a typical example in Port Harcourt. Stadium Road is quite popular to all of us, but in the official records of Rivers State government, it is Kensarowiwa Road.
No, that Stadium Road no go come up for. That Stadium Road no come up for people mouth.
So you understand why sometimes you change some names, and there are institutions you also change, and it becomes immediately popular.
All right.
The typical example is the Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife. Remember, it used to be University of Ife until Awolowo died, and they looked for a structure. University of Ife was actually started by the Western Region government until it was taken over by the federal government, and they named it after Obafemi Awolowo. So everybody knows that school as of today as OAU. You have the Ambrose Ali University in Ekpoma, in Edo State. So
all right. Moving from that, the federal government has proposed introducing a tax payment option that enables individuals to pay their taxes in installments. It introduced this in the Nigeria Tax Bill 2024, recently submitted to the National Assembly for consideration and approval. This means that each person now has the flexibility to fulfill their tax obligations either by making a simple lump sum payment or by spreading the payment out over time and settling before the designated due date for filing. The government also approved the creation of a special account by the Accountant General of the Federation for tax refunds. Okay, I have a few comments there. But Mr. Ige, is this a good or a bad idea?
Good idea if well implemented. It's not that Nigerians are not willing to pay tax. And let me also quickly add that, if there is one thing human beings don't like paying, it's tax.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's because there are in sane societies or in more advanced countries, taxation is quite structured, and you have no choice but to pay because there are records that can be traced, to you. So if you have a system that will allow us pay taxes, in installments, not a bad idea. But where Nigerians will question is this: look, we've been paying tax for as long as they can remember. Where are the benefits? Fuel is not becoming any cheaper. Accommodation is not becoming any cheaper. Inflation is at the all-time high, in Nigeria. Nigerians are struggling. Nigerians are suffering. So whether to tell them to pay tax in installments or not may not really move some people. It will have been easier to make this argument if things were quite functional, and then people say, okay, well, not a bad idea. I've not been paying before. Now the federal government is proposing instrumental payments. Okay, can I begin to pay? Because you enjoy the dividend of the previous taxes you have been paying. Not a bad idea, if you ask me. You could also commend the federal government and say, look, they are trying to make things a little bit easy for Nigerians. You don't have to pay all your taxes at once. But this might just apply to only those who do maybe businesses. Remember, for those who earn salary,
because I was thinking about it.
Yeah, for those who earn salary, the payee is deducted
from source.
At source. So you don't even have any choice to say, let me delay. So this might just maybe apply to those that are into small and medium scheme enterprises, those who do private businesses, corporate organizations, and all of that. But this may certainly not apply to those who earn salary and the tax is deducted at source before you even earn the money.
So the tax percentage for businesses, and I'm thinking, if that's not something you can pay in one installment, do you think it's multiple installments that will make it easier?
Well, it depends on the kind of business you do, right? There are people who pay taxes as much as 1 billion in a year.
Yeah, no, we're looking at the percentage of your earning.
Yeah, you are talking of those who earn salary.
Okay.
If you are talking of those who earn salary, then it's difficult to be able to plan this out because it's deducted that source, except you want to go and discuss with your human resources department, of your organization and say, look, the amount of taxes I'm paying. I'm sure there are those who earn salary in Nigeria, and the tax they pay at the end of the month is almost 200,000 naira. It's almost 150,000. Some pay tax as much as 300,000 from their salaries, depending on where you work. So you could find a way and say, look, how much is my tax in a year? Okay, my tax in a year is about 3 million. Okay, can I pay 3 times rather than just deduct this money all of the time?
Yeah, but Mr. Ige, if we're talking percentages, right?
Yeah.
A 1 billion naira tax is a lot.
Yes.
But it's not a lot to a person who has earned 100 billion. How does the tax compare to earning? Because it's always a percentage.
No, it could give you opportunity to make use of the money, even though you had done a business and earned 100 billion in a year. Sometimes cash liquidity could be a challenge.
Okay, well,
cash liquidity could be a challenge. Okay, if I hold on onto this money a little bit more, can I use it to run some businesses?
Okay, that's a point.
Yeah, so I can be able to pay. So that's why I'm looking at those angles. So the kind of taxes you are talking about, is it general? Maybe that's where the federal government may need to explain more.
Yeah.
I'm going to import maybe 20 cars, and of course I have to pay import duties.
Definitely.
Is it part of taxation you are talking about in this case? So that if I'm going to pay 5 million for vehicles I'm importing, and I say, look, customs, please, I have just 2.5 now. Can you release the cars to me? Then when I sell the cars, I return 2.5 to make. So probably federal government will need to explain what kind of taxes will fall on.
And that would be good for business people, actually.
Definitely.
If they have that option.
If it covers those that are into importation, it will help them a lot.
Yeah.
For as long as you can track who is importing what. So import a goods, right? You import goods. Then customs is saying your customs duty is 20 million. And you don't have the 20 million to clear the container. So rather than the container to be at the port and suffer demurrage, so you can actually negotiate with customs and say, okay, no problem, I'm going to pay 20 million, but can you allow me to pay 3 times?
Okay.
You understand? So can I pay half now and spread the balance of the half over 2 times? So it could, help businessmen, reduce pressure, and probably in the long run, things may even become cheaper if people are able to stagger the way and manner they pay their taxes.
All right, we have a break coming up. After that, the national grid collapsed again this week. We'll be talking about that and many more after the break. Welcome back. It's still the front page on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Sam Oracle Chinedu here, and my guest, Mr. Olalekan Ige, is still right here in the building. Hello, Mr. Ige.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, we're moving to recurring decimal, if you may. The national electricity grid collapsed again on Monday this week. The grid collapsed at about 6:18 p.m. on Monday evening. The Enugu Electricity Distribution Company and their counterpart in Abuja confirmed the grid collapse in separate statements. The Port Harcourt Electricity Distribution PLC PHED was silent, but parts of River State Capital were without electricity. Reacting to this, the Executive Director, Electricity Consumer Protection Advocacy Center, Prince Will Okorie, regretted that the grid keeps collapsing despite the hike in electricity tariff. Mr. Okorie said the unmetered customers would still be made to pay for the period of the collapse, wondering what the government has been doing to stop the incident. At this point, I don't even want to ask any developmental question, Mr. Ige. I just want to ask, should Nigerians start making alternative power plants or still hope on government?
The collapse of the national grid has nothing to do with power plants, even though we are not generating what is sufficient to go around Nigeria. I think we are just hovering around maybe maximum 6,000 megawatts, right? So the problem of collapse of national grid has nothing to do with generation. It's more of transmission, and which is handled by the federal government of Nigeria. Remember that TCN is owned by the federal government of Nigeria. That's Transmission Company of Nigeria. So when the grid collapses, it means that they are not able to transmit power to various states and or to the various electricity distribution companies. So I think it's to find out what's happening in TCN. Why do we always have this grid collapsing? Is it that the equipment we have are obsolete? Is it that we need to expand the present capacity, which truly we have to? Is it that some of the transmitting equipment that we have can no longer carry the volume of what is being powered, into these things? Is it that the cables that we have, that we use in transmitting, is it the problem? Do we need to change the cables? Do we need to isolate national transmission and regionalized transmission so that at any point in time there's a collapse? It's not that the entire country is shut down at the moment. So can we sort of regionalize transmission? Can we have transmission specifically devoted to maybe southern part of Nigeria, or northern part, or south or southeast, or northeast or northwest? Is there a way they can break down transmission so that at any point in time one specific area has a problem, it doesn't affect the entire country? I think these are the things that we need to be able to find out from TCN. What causes this frequent collapse of national grid, and what is the way forward? You understand? Should we have more equipment for transmission? Should we separate, or should we create another line so that at no point in time can we have a dual line, so that at no point in time would the entire country be in total darkness? Remember, one of the reasons why federal government refused to sell transmission was to ensure that one part of Nigeria is not unduly favored in terms of those who have light. You understand? Which is why federal government is holding on to TCN. But I'm saying, now that TCN belongs to federal government, can it be privatized, so that in privatization we can regionalize and ensure that we do not have this total collapse? The understanding will also be there that, look, I'm sure almost 50 to 60% of power generation is now in the southern part of Nigeria. Most of what we have from the north are from hydro electricity generation. So we have more of gas-fired turbines in southern part of Nigeria. So let it not look as if it's only one side that is enjoying light in Nigeria. But we must find something. Why do we have this frequent collapse of the national grid?
Yeah, but Mr. Ige, regardless of what the cause of the problem is, and as a person who might understand the flow, you're able to break it down and say it's either generation, transmission, or distribution. The average Nigerian who does not have light does not have light. It doesn't matter even if they tell him, oh, it has been supplied to your doorstep, but the transformer feeding your street. Once there's no light, they consider that a problem and they want solutions to it. We were talking during the break about more people getting on renewable energy, which is solar. That business is booming. So what I'm asking is, while the federal government is still trying to sort itself out and figure out where the problem is and hopefully solve it, Should Nigerians be patient with government or start making their own alternative plans, installing solar and looking for ways that you can have power in your house?
Solar doesn't come cheap. Even though you have a lot of companies that are coming into town trying to bring small, solar powered light, so that look, this one, maybe this kind of solar may not power equipment in your house. It's just to give you light. Maybe that's what's important to some people. You understand? At least let's be that we have light in all the rooms, even though it's not powering fridge, AC, television, and all of that. So if you need solar power that can power the equipment in your house, then you probably be spending money in something above 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, even 4 million, depending on what you are looking at. So how many Nigerians, can afford that? A vast majority of Nigerians can't afford to have solar, maybe the big ones in their houses. I've been to some houses where you see them have these small solar powered lights, at least you could see light, in the houses.
Maybe even charge a phone or two.
Yes, it'd be able to there are small packs that are coming up now, maybe almost the size of this past my neighbor, generator. There's a power pack solar, that is coming in that you can use to at least power your phones, put more lights into your house, maybe not power fridge or AC or or television, excuse me, and all of that. So the balance, it's really tough to balance and say, look, should Nigerians be patient or should we be investing more in solar? To invest more in solar means a lot of Nigerians won't be able to afford that. So the vast majority, we have to wait on the federal government, on power distribution companies, and on power generating companies. I think while we are trying to increase generation, because we are not having more of light as it is today, Nigeria should be having nothing less than 50 to 60,000 megawatts of electricity. As of today, we are just doing barely 6,000, if my record is right. So it means we still have a huge gap, in that market. We need to improve generation. Transmission is at the core of even electricity in Nigeria. And if we don't invest more and more money into transmission, we'll continue to have this problem. Distribution itself is also a problem. I'm sure there are so many homes in Nigeria that do not have a prepaid meter. There are so many areas in Nigeria that are suffering from a transformer problem. That's purely the responsibility of electricity distribution companies. So the three sectors need much more money than we are investing, at the moment. And unfortunately, Nigeria's progress is tied to electricity. There's no doubt about that.
Directly. It's not even indirect.
It's directly. So you can see, let's assume, even if you can have like 16 to 17 hours of constant electricity in a day, it will also reduce the pressure on diesel. It will reduce the pressure on petrol. Remember, there are a lot of small-scale industries that rely on petrol to power whatever they do. Barbing salon, those who grind pepper, the tomato in the market, and all of that. For organizers rely on petrol to power their small, machine to be able to pump tires. So you now see the volume of people who buy fuel, not because they have cars. They buy fuel because they need to power a certain machine to work. So you can imagine if we have 17 to 18 hours of electricity every day. So if 1 million Nigerians are buying fuel because they want to power their machines, and we have constant electricity, it means that 1 million less Nigerians will be buying fuel. So that reduces the pressure, and even buying petrol and all of that. Then more industries can now arrive because they now know that at least we have electricity and we don't need to spend a huge chunk. As of today, diesel is about 1,200, 1,300 per liter. So if you are into heavy industry, you can imagine how much you'll be spending on diesel. Just imagine how much Nigerian folk will be spending on diesel in a year. Imagine if there is 24 hours electricity, all the money Nigerian folk is spending on diesel. Is it not to add to what the workers are earning or make the place even more much better than what we have at the moment?
Thank you for speaking up, Mr. Ike. I mean, I know, we know in-house how much we spend monthly
it's
just
crazy.
to generate power. It is crazy. It is. All right, it's time for you to be a part of this conversation. We have talked about the removal of Wike's name from a government building, and that is the administrative block of Obiakpo Local Government Council. The federal government proposing tax payment in installments, and the national grid collapsing again this week. To join us, the numbers to call are 0817-923-0002. 0817-923-0003. We're live on Facebook and Twitter at Nigeria InfoPH. You can watch as you listen and drop your comments on those platforms. You can also send your messages to our WhatsApp. That's 080-903-06416. Please turn off your radio as you call. And still to come, do you think road safety officials should bear arms? Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Comrade Innocent Lord Douglas.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, and it's good joining this program this morning. Let me thank EJ. I just want to make a contribution.
All right.
And to let us know that what fails grid is not the inability of the transmission company to transmit energy. That is not the only thing that can bring down a grid. Though it is true, the transmission company manages grid, but there are so many factors that affect grid collapse. One can be vandalism. The moment a tower is being vandalized and it shakes the grid, we lose energy. The moment there is an excess generation that cannot, all the people in the steam, that is a distribution aspect, and it affects the grid, it shut down the grid collapse. So there are so many things that affect grid collapse. But again, I support, and we have advocated that what Ige has just said about regional power sector, regional power, which Tinubu has also affected to. State government should make use of this window that have been opened and start generating transmission and distributing energy. It will help, and it will also ease off the volume of fuel consumption that Nigeria faces now.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Yes, Kalada, good morning.
It's Sam, not Kalada. Good morning.
Sam Oracle, good morning.
Morning, what's your name?
Yeah, this is Amadi Patrick. I'm calling from my friend.
Go ahead.
Yes, I want to talk on that weakest name that has been removed by the Obeko Council Chairman.
Yeah.
I am not in support of the name that he removed.
Okay.
There is other place they can also place people's name if you want to include people's name in the place. That one could be there. You also find another place to also name. So that one has been there for a reference.
What places, please?
Hello?
Hello?
I'm hearing you.
If you're saying there are other structures that he could, rename, which ones?
He can build some.
Hello? Okay, he can build. Oh my, we lost. So I guess he should not have renamed. He should have built something new and then put whatever name he wants on it. Okay, that sounds like a plan. Mr. Chairman, I hope you're listening. That is a suggestion from the good people. Elijah Iyala on Facebook says, National grid collapse again. This country is going nowhere. And he says, as far as a particular party is concerned. Ebenezer Erinwa says, road safety will be the worst than police if given arms. I don't buy the idea of giving them arms. And removing Wike's name and replacing it with Obiwale is all politics. Adindo Okere, still on Facebook, says, good morning. Distinguished Sam Oracle Chinedu, bringing you greetings from Chatham House. I'm almost certain you're not there, but thanks for sending that. Pi Festus says, Mr. Chinedu, the renaming of Secretariat after the prominent Obiwale is purely political and nothing more. After all, anyone can do so to keep system going through installmental tax payment. In my opinion, it doesn't make any bad sense anyways, but the percentage should be remitted based on the nature of individual earnings. And national grid collapsing is another bad omen. I mean, within a month, we've recorded several of such collapses, and it's not telling any good on leadership of the country. Bao Bernard says, I don't know why removing Wike's name from the council will be a topic for debates, because Wike never bothered about whatever the council chairman is doing. Time will tell, he says. And thank God that Weibo, still on Facebook, says, again, national grid collapsing. Even lights don't tire for the country. Removing Wike's name from Obiakpo Secretariat shows that new government has emerged. All uniformed men in the country want to bear arms, he says. Hello, good morning.
The very
distinguished Sam Orakuchini. How are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing well. Welcome from Chatham House.
Yes, I celebrate you. Very interesting place to be.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, so let me salute our brother and our guest, Olalekan.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for your analysis so far.
Yeah, thank you.
The very distinguished Sam.
Yep.
In as much as I am concerned, giving or arming road safety wouldn't be a bad idea.
Why?
Because if you ask me, they don't go carry last too. Are they not on the highway? Are they not doing no stop and search? Sometimes they encounter the armed robbers. They are also human beings. Somebody's father, somebody's brother, somebody's uncle. They need to also protect their own life. But one thing I will always tell them, don't behave like the police. Don't use it as some kind of a weapon to stop motorists, extort them as usual. It wouldn't be a good development. But in terms of trying to use it to arm yourself, protect yourself, at least to make your work more productive, I think it's a right step in the right direction. And if I may also say, the very distinguished Samorak, on this issue of power grid collapsing, you didn't even tell us that within 24 hours, it collapsed up to 2 times within 24 hours. And instead of a minister of power being proactive, he was rather being reactive, giving it another name of trip-off. But I always ask this question. This constant collapse, are there no persons working there? Is there no way they can find a remedy in ratifying the cause of this unnecessary collapse all the time? Please, it's a sort of concern to us. And for me, it is embarrassing to Nigeria that this will become a recurrent factor that on daily basis or weekly basis or monthly basis we have national trade collapse. But at the end of the month, you see people receiving salary for doing nothing. I don't think it's a good one.
All right.
But I want to also ask,
thank you very much, Temple.
Never come back. I think if he's still there, he should try to reflect on this national trade collapse.
Okay.
Probably he can find,
Thank you, Temple. I'm certain he would return. Well, we've already started conversations around this. Let's dive into it. Some Nigerians have expressed different views following the introduction of a bill in the House of Reps to allow Federal Road Safety Corps officers to bear arms. In an interview with our correspondent, they said this might escalate confrontations on the road rather than improve safety. They believe the measure is unnecessary and could be used as a means to intimidate road users. Some others, however, are of the view that it will aid the protection of the officers against confrontational drivers.
So they want to use it to government something, you understand, to do it in another format, you understand?
The only fear I have there is that Nigerian uniform men, they are not professional, understand? I'm telling you the gospel, they are not professional. They can shoot at any time.
It's not necessary for that. Why? Because many of them, they will use the gun, they can use it for another thing. They will think that they are using it to work, but they will use it in other ways.
It's okay that even they are putting their life at risk. Sometimes don't you know that sometimes most motorists hit them. Even put their life at risk. But by not put those motorists that hit them down while stopping them. If they are withdrawn, they will be able to fire at the driver or fire at the tire.
Interesting perspective. Mr. Ige, road safety to bear arms, to be or not to be?
Well, I've been one of the proponents of merging road safety in the Nigeria police. Road safety should actually be a department under the Nigeria police.
Really?
Yeah. It's just shared duplication. Okay, as of today, don't you have a police even doing the work of road safety on many roads? If you're a frequent traveler, then you understand that there's nothing police is asking you. There's nothing road safety is asking you that police will not ask you. Nothing. What is road safety meant to check? Your tire, whether you have a jack, whether you have fire extinguisher, your car is in good condition, and all of that. You have a vehicle inspection officers in states almost doing a similar thing. You have Nigeria police asking you for your driver's license. You have Nigeria police asking you whether you have spare tire and all of that. To me, it's sheer duplication. I'm sure in one of the reports of Steve Orosai, one of his suggestions was that road safety should actually be part of police. And I agree with him totally. So if they are part of police, then they should bear arms. But if they are not part of police at the moment, should they bear arms? I agree with them. And I've always said that, look, there's no reason why we should allow security agents, security officers, particularly police, to bear assault rifles. AK-47 is an assault rifle. I feel we should change assault rifle from police. They should be carrying pistols and must be in the holster at all times. You know, it gives you this friendly thing when you meet a police officer and his pistol is in the holster, that is holding the pistol. There's a way you relate with him, you know, than the way you meet a police officer is already hauling an AK-47 at you. It doesn't make sense, if you ask me. If police is going to bear arms, if road safety, if they are going to bear arms, to me, I feel they should bear pistol and they should be in the holster at all times. It's only when they see danger or they are threatened they can draw the pistol. To me, I agree they should bear arms, but it shouldn't be an assault rifle in the form of AK-47.
Okay, well, apparently that's as far as we can fly. I'll take the WhatsApp messages after the break. Better yet, after the hour. But thank you very much, Mr. Ige, for making the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
And that's it on the front page. Join us next week for more headlines. Please stay with us.